What up, y'all? It's Golden Spaces, an Odyssey original podcast with Justin and Nat. And I got to tell y'all, I don't know how long we'll be doing this podcast anymore because earlier today, the player known as Chris Paul, CP3, some call him the point god. I don't. Justin doesn't. My nicknames for him differ, but now that he is almost officially a Warrior, I don't know that I can call him some of the names that I used to. But yeah, Chris Paul will become a Warrior, and our beloved Jordan Poole. Sorry, y'all. If you watching on video, I'm looking away because this updates coming left and right. So we trying to make sure we don't miss anything as we record in. But our beloved Jordan Poole has been traded to the Washington Wizards. And I mean, I think the last time we were on here, Justin and I spoke about this. I didn't think it was possible for the team to really do anything this season, honestly. Because, I didn't think it was possible with Jordan and Dre being on the team. I didn't think they could coexist. Justin was sort of like, oh, let's hope for the best, But I mean, I think we all thought if anyone was going to be traded, it was going to be Poole. So I don't think that Poole being traded was a surprise to us, though it still hurts a little bit. For me, it still hurts. But that he'd be traded and the only thing we'd be getting back in return is Chris Paul. I think that is
plot twist.
That is something. And look, there had been some Chris Paul rumors circulating a couple of weeks ago, and they kind of, nothing really came of them. And then since it's been like pretty like he's going to go to an LA team. He's going to go to an LA team. Like that's what everyone's been saying. And so I don't know how he ended up here. But to the people who are like, how does Steph feel about this? This does not happen without Steph's blessing, guys. Okay. They had his blessing. They had his blessing, and they probably had the blessing of the others too. But most importantly, they had Steph's blessing. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a few reasons for this trade. And before we get into like breaking down why the Warriors probably did this and the pros and the cons of it, my initial reaction was like many. And look, not everyone dislikes this trade. But many in Dub Nation don't like the trade because Chris Paul is older. We got history with Chris Paul, whether it's Lob City or the Rockets, this team has a lot of history with Chris Paul. And then some people just never liked Chris Paul anyway as a player, based on his antics and stuff. So, and then there was like a Chris Paul, Steph thing for a while. So it's a lot to process him being on our team now and having to root for him. So, so that we needed a little time. I know this news dropped a lot earlier today. It's now 11:23 p.m. on the East Coast. This sort of dropped, I don't know, what time was it? Like midday today, Justin? Yeah. It dropped a little bit after 3 p.m. on the East Coast. So it was about a little afternoon on the West Coast. So It's been several hours, and I've had some more time to process it. But my initial reaction was I was disgusted by this trade. I was disgusted by it. And I'm going to be candid when I say I was largely disgusted by the trade because I don't like Chris Paul. Mm-hmm. I'm just not a fan of him. So that was my biggest reason. It was not about basketball or what he could potentially do or any of that. It was just like, I'm truly not a fan of him. And I didn't want him on my team. But that's subsided for me now a little bit. And I do think we need to get into like the basketball stuff. But I do want to know, Justin, what was your initial reaction?
Same exact thing. Well, for one, it's kind of like almost like a sadness for Jordan because just understanding the situation that led to this point, I do ultimately believe that he would have eventually have had to been moved anyway, regardless of the Draymond situation, just because of the money situation. unless he had taken some type of major leap as a player that just made him so much better than Klay Thompson that it would just be Klay Thompson that had to be moved, which didn't happen. So I think Jordan was going to be moved regardless. But watching him grow from his rookie season to go into the G League, in and out, to becoming a player that helps him win a championship, to being whether people think he deserved a contract or not, $100 million plus player, it's pretty gratifying to see that when you draft a player and they have that type of ascension to young stardom. So to see him be traded away is definitely a sad moment. I mean, he's being traded to DC, and I live in DC, so I get to watch him play and continue to grow in person, which is cool for me, but sad as a Warriors fan. But as far as Chris Paul, definitely the same initial thoughts. It's just like you've rooted against this guy for so long, and you have mostly negative feelings towards the guy for his off the court or on the court antics and stuff in the rivalry that he's had with Steph and the Warriors for all those years. But like you said, after thinking about it from a basketball standpoint, I do think it is an improvement just because he is more ready to contribute to winning in the role that is asked of him today than Jordan Poole is. I think Jordan Poole needs a little bit more around him to be in position to help impact winning, kind of like 2022, whereas going forward, I don't think they'll have the roster that's quite as built like that. So you're going to need a little bit more veteran leadership. You're going to need a little bit more players that are not reliant on other players around them to be effective. And I think Chris Paul is that. And then financially, it makes more sense as well because his contract is expiring next season. It's non-guaranteed. So it can be used in trades. It can be dumped if need be. So it's no long-term financial commitment to Chris Paul, who at this point is not necessarily the greatest asset. So I think objectively it made sense as a trade. I do think people will wanted Jordan Poole to be traded for like a front court player because they needed front court help, but it didn't work out that way. And I think they still got some type of value back for him, and a good player and a player that is, objectively movable if need be after this season. So
yeah, they definitely needed front court, but they did always need a backup point guard for Steph. Like, this has been a thing. The problem is, can Chris Paul actually be a backup for Steph? If you're only worried about getting him to the postseason, then sure. But who's going to be backing him up during the regular season, right? Because, if you're not – look, I saw some graphic from ESPN with Chris Paul as like a potential like part of the starting five. Like, no, he's coming off the bench would be my guess.
Yeah.
So you're already going to have limited minutes coming off the bench. And he's the perfect person to be out there with Kuminga and whoever else they end up putting out there. Gary, he can definitely lob some stuff up to Gary. He'll have some fun with Gary. And Kuminga would definitely benefit with, playing with Chris Paul. But it's just, look, obviously they're a team that's equipped to manage him. And by manage him, I mean like how we managed Otto, but if you're managing him and if that's going to mean like he's not playing back-to-backs and it's going to mean this, it's going to mean that, we don't know. So, there's been some talk about Leicester, showing some promise. So I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do, but they still need some front court help. So my guess is they're going to try to get those with like the vet minimums because there's no other way to get anything else, right? Unless they're going to do another trade.
Right.
And I don't know. I'm kind of thinking they're not going to trade Kuminga unless something great comes about. But I don't know. I'm not getting the sense that they're going to trade him. But who knows? But that's really their only other way to get another player. Right? Because who else are they going to trade?
Right. And with Kuminga's contract, you just probably aren't going to get the value back for him that he already holds as a future piece and as a current piece. He's making $6 million.
Right.
Like, who out there is on a $6 million contract as a front court player?
Right.
That's going to help you win more than he can this season. So,
yeah, you'd probably have to give up Moody and Kuminga, and that just makes no sense. So I don't know. Have you taken a look to see what front court players are out there that could potentially go for a minimum?
mm-hmm. There's a few. I mean, there's Saric, there's Dario Saric out there. There's Yuta Watanabe, who's kind of like a wing, but he's like 6'9". Really good shooter. I think he's a player that whether they have made this trade or not, they should be going after. I think he's probably should be number one on their list for vet minimum players because he can guard multiple positions. He can hit an open three. He's a smart player. I believe he's 28 or 29 years old. So he's like in his mental and physical prime for basketball. Other players that are out there, who knows if Mike Muscala is going to be waived by the Wizards or whatever the case may be is going to be going on with him. Wenyen Gabriel is another wing out there that played for the Lakers this past season. He might go back to the Lakers, but I think he'll be available in the minimum. There's a few out there that can be used. I mean, I think Juan might end up getting waived. He could be available as well. So
Juan Toscano Anderson?
Yeah.
No.
It's not the best group out there for vet minimums, to be honest. It never is because that's why they're on vet minimums, but yeah. We're just gonna have to wait and see who gets waived. I think it might improve based on who gets waived, but right now it's very few.
I love Juan, but no, thank you. Appreciate your love and support. Appreciate that you're an Oakland kid, but nah, we good.
Right.
No. They Rollins is gone in that trade, so they freed up another roster spot. So let's just talk about how many roster spots they'll have, right? Like, because you'll have Rollins, Dante's likely not coming back.
Right. I think they have 4 available right now.
Is that one of them dependent on Andre?
That is dependent on Andre coming back or not. If he comes back, it drops to 3. JaMychal is gone. Anthony Lamb hopefully is gone. Dante, we are expecting to be gone. So those are 4.
Yeah. So I mean, I think a lot of this Chris Paul thing too had to do with clearing their books, right? So it's like it's a big risk, high risk,
potentially high reward.
Yeah, I can't even say high reward, but high risk, yes. Potential reward.
Right.
But after this year, your books, but that's still another year of Steph's prime, that you're fooling with. So I'm not really sure that they had much better options. I saw our friends at Warriors Reddit tweet that, like, why couldn't we just wait for him to hit the buyout market? But he probably wouldn't have signed with the Warriors, right, if he hit the buyout market. And maybe they figured that as well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. He's 100% going to one of the LA teams if they let him hit that market.
Yeah. So this bastard gets to keep his money. I'm sorry. He gets to keep his money and potentially get a ring off Steph's back.
In a way, it's kind of poetic because it's like, Chris Paul, you've been trying to battle Steph for all these years, only to end up as his sidekick, and you can't get a ring without Steph. So it would be a funny storyline there. I kind of hate it has to be this way, but in a way, it's kind of like, pretty funny considering their career arcs and how it started and how it's going.
Look, Chris Paul can at least be trusted to close out quarters, can be trusted not to turn the ball over, can be trusted to make smart decisions, can be reliable at the mid-range,
yeah,
can settle things down, And honestly, can draw fouls.
Yeah. A lot of people have been talking about like how they're going to miss Jordan's rim pressure, and that's definitely the case. But Chris Paul, I think he makes up the gap a little bit with the lack of rim pressure with a mid-range shot and his ability to draw fouls and his ability to set guys up for lobs and dunks and stuff like that. So it's really dependent on if they knock out the remaining spots on the roster. If they can get in some playable, usable front court players, guys that can hit the three, finish inside with some legit size, I think, Chris Paul and Steph are just as equipped as anybody to make those players better than they actually are and get the most out of them. So I'm holding on before I'm like truly reacting to how the roster looks. So we're just gonna have to.
So we got to see the rest of the pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is the most major move that's going to happen. So it's just a matter of they have to know they need front court players. They have to know that.
Yeah. As of right now, PBJ and Looney are the only bigs on contract right now.
I forgot about PBJ. Is he going to get playing time this year?
We'll see who else they sign. If they
he
sign
can't even get no playing time this year.
I actually think he's good. That's the crazy thing. It's just I don't know if Steve will actually trust him to play. And the thing is, like right now, as presently constructed, is Chris Paul and Gary Payton. They're both 30 plus years old in the second unit, and then it's Moody and Kuminga. So the question becomes, do you play PBJ with that group? It's another under 23, under 22 years old player, or do you put somebody that's older in that group? I think they're going to lean with somebody that's older, more reliable, which then pushes PBJ into that 11th to 15th man. So I doubt he gets a lot of minutes next season. So we'll see. But if something materializes like where Moody or Kuminga or both get moved, then I can see PBJ get a little bit more minutes in the second unit because he would be the only young guy essentially in the second unit.
I see a lot of people reacting to the Warriors and what we did. Lakers gonna love this. I don't know why they think they team so damn good. I really don't. They get on my nerves. But I remember them reacting the year that we won the championship. Oh, that's all they did. They playing, and we won. So the core is still there. So the core is a good team, and we have to always remember that. It's just, it's no secret I don't like Chris Paul. The amount of people that at me today was insanity, but Chris Paul is still a good player.
Yeah.
He's still a good player.
He's still better than a lot of starting point guards, let alone backup point guards. So I think if they had Chris Paul instead of Jordan this past playoffs, they probably beat the Lakers. You know what I mean? That's no disrespect to Jordan. Obviously, I love Jordan, but I think even if Chris Paul's shot isn't falling, he just brings a baseline of playmaking, decision-making, stuff like that he can just still add positive impact out there where Jordan is just not ready yet in his career to be able to provide that stuff. So.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. We'll just have to find a way. We'll have to find a way to
when the Warriors win, it's everybody when the Warriors win, everybody getting props. But that guy, and when they lose, it's his fucking fault. Every game. But,
oh man. This was definitely a cap thing though. It was definitely, his contract is basically up essentially. And after this year, Clay after this year, and Jordan's gone. Their books are going to be pretty good.
yeah.
After this year. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're going to extend Clay now. So it seems like his contract is going to be taken care of. at the end of the year. Oh,
Yeah. Which means we probably get a pretty good version of Clay. Contract year, he's going to be playing for some money. Same thing with Draymond this past year, even though he didn't have the best playoffs. He had a pretty good regular season. So it's usually a good thing when guys are on 1 year and they're expiring.
and you sort of hope all the Denver buzz and people now really acting like the Warriors are done and talking about future dynasties. But look at Denver already being impacted. Like they may not even have Bruce Brown next year.
He's gone. Gone. I'd be surprised if they bring him back, to be honest. I don't think they have enough money.
You mean all that stuff White Mike was talking?
That was the Hennessy coming out his pores.
He said, we bring it back.
We run this shit back. We run this shit back. I love Mike.
I love him too. But yeah, but I mean, look at them. They already feeling it. You ready? And again, of course, you still have Jokic and Murray. But I'm just saying, like, that's how it starts. You losing, a piece.
Yeah, exactly. We kind of saw it already with GP2 last season. They ended up getting him back, but his absence was felt. Even though they tried to replace him with Dante, it was just a different type of player. And then Otto as well, obviously missed his contributions or just the value from what he brought. They didn't replace it, so it's hard to win and then continue to win. You have to.
Otto's interesting because I think I saw a report the other day like that no one around the league is high on him. So I wonder if he gets cut at all. I mean, Toronto doesn't seem like the kind of team that would do that.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but we'll see.
What kind of deal did they sign him to when he went there?
A 1+1, $6 million a year, I think, something like that. So he had a player option. He accepted his player option, and he'll be back on contract with the Raptors next season for one more season. So, I mean, they have the ability to waive him or, get him off the books.
I'm sure the Warriors wouldn't mind taking him back.
I wouldn't either. A lot of people don't want him just because of the injury thing. And it's a legit concern. Like, he's played 63 games for the Warriors, and he did a whole playoff run. He played 8 games last year for the Raptors. He played 28 games the year before that. He played 14 games the year before that. So the Warriors are the only team he could put together any semblance of a healthy season for. Is it luck?
Got a chip out of it.
You know what I'm saying? Is it got a chip out of it? Is it luck? Is it Rick Celebrini? Who knows?
Maybe a little bit of both.
Maybe a little bit of both. I'll take him back, though. Like I said, we got 4 spots.
On that minimum. I mean, why not?
Right. I'll take a stab at it.
All right. Well, I really have no clue who the Warriors are going to go after. People were expecting me to be all rah-rah tonight. Oh, y'all, for one, I'm under the weather. If you can't hear it, I'm sick. So I really don't have the capacity to do all of that. And what is that going to do anyway? He's on the squad, So I don't think Jordan has sunk in for me yet, though. He unfollowed Draymond on Instagram pretty quickly.
Yeah. He actually posted on Instagram before he got traded. I think he already knew. He posted on his story like the 3 dots and like some background images or videos and stuff. So just sad.
I just don't like the way a lot of Warriors fans treated him.
Mm-hmm.
Going out. Like Jordan helped us win a championship. He helped us win a championship. And yeah, he had a bad playoffs. So has Clay.
Yeah. I mean, he's a young player that's still getting better. Yeah, still getting better. People just were out on him. I mean, a lot of people are just reactionary. So like a lot of people were out on JP, Clay, Draymond, that's just how people are wired. But Jordan Poole is going to be very good. Like, very good. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to the Wizards and ends up peaking a little bit higher than Brad did, like, I'm not penciling it in, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he's near 25 a game next season either. Um, he's that good of a player, that good of a scorer, offensive player. He just got a ways to go to learn how to lead a team and be one of those guys that you can rely upon to not make simple mistakes and stuff like that. And that comes with time and age, but he's a championship level player. He's shown it already. He's won a chip. Like, so people definitely should have paid him a little bit more respect. And, just understand the situation. We knew he was going to be moved, but nobody wanted him to be moved for like really basketball reasons. It was just more so him and Draymond can't coexist, and his contract was more movable. His role was more replaceable than what Draymond brings as far as impact on winning. He was more replaceable, but got to give respect to Jordan. He's done so many things for the team, has so many great moments, playoffs and regular season. So, yeah. Shout out to Jordan.
Yeah, now you're making me sad.
I was sad. He's one of my favorite players. Like, so, and I mean, to be traded for one of my least favorite players of all time, I was kind of in disbelief for a long time. But
nah, man, that shit really, it doesn't sit right with me. And I don't know. Like, I just don't know how I feel about all this, because I just continue to feel like Dre just continues to do shit. And it's like he's rewarded for it. This is why when people talk about this contract he now has to get, I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm sorry. Y'all talking about $30 million a year for Dre? Who? For what?
That's not happening.
Who's paying Dre that?
No one.
And I don't see why do the Warriors need to overpay? Like, everyone keeps talking about that gives him leverage. What leverage? What leverage? There's no team. There's no contending team.
Right.
Unless he's trying to go to like Detroit, and he's not. We know that.
And why would a team that's not contending want Draymond? Why would a team with a bunch of young guys want Draymond Green, who just punched a young guy on his own team, to come on? You know what I mean? The Wiseman thing didn't work out with Draymond. Obviously, the Jordan Poole thing didn't work out with Draymond. And there's even rumblings about other young guys. They just don't want a bunch of young guys on their team. He wants to win championships. He wants to finish out his career competing for championships while also making a good amount of money. And the only team that can do that for him is the Warriors. So he has no leverage, really. The only leverage he can get is if he goes out and finds a team that's willing to pay him a certain amount of money, and he brings it back to the Warriors. Like, see, they're going to pay me. And the Warriors
but
like,
I call his bluff. Go that team. He's not going.
Right.
He's not going. To me, anything more than 25 million is crazy. And to me, it should be like between 20 and 25 million, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I think he knows that. They put that 30 million up there just so they can kind of talk down from it, I think. But who's really offering them that? Stephen A. really funny for putting that 100 million. He said he's worth 100 million. Like, come on, dog.
How much Clutch paying him to say that?
Right. Like, all right, man. We get it. We get it. You want to get a nice little payday. You get your 3 years, 80, 75, 70.
75 is the max it needs to be.
Right. So
really, it should be like 70, and some incentives get you to 75.
Right.
So, and like I feel like because of what you've cost this team, you owe some of that back anyway. Like, if you would have been a stellar, perfect player to this point, then sure.
Mm-hmm.
But look at what you've caused.
Yeah, that's facts.
Look at what you've caused.
Yeah, I think he understands the situation. He's just trying to milk the system a little bit. I don't think he has any intention of going anywhere else or even looking anywhere else. Also, I think he knows he needs to be on his best behavior from this point out.
Why? What's gonna happen to him? He can literally assault.
Nothing's going to happen to him, but I just think,
and
or
the
at least
coach
I would
will
hope.
come on the podcast with him, and they'll taunt the teammate. I mean,
at least I'm being hopeful. I don't say he thinks he feels like he needs to get his act in order, but I'm hopeful that he at least mature enough to not have another incident like the ones that he's had in the past, because he, at his big age, is that what the kids say nowadays?
of course not, because Kuminga would have knocked his ass somewhere. He would have did that to Kuminga. And he ain't doing that to Steph, to Clay, to any of them other dudes. He ain't doing that to Andre. He not doing that to them. Loon would have even knocked his ass out. Okay? He ain't doing that to nobody else.
Shout out to Loon.
Who you gonna do that to? Ty Jerome? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Jordan. Shout out to Jordan.
Jordan, we love you here on Golden Spaces Pod. Justin, you out there, so you need to go cover him for a few games.
He gonna bring the baddies in DC out.
Please, so. I hate that stupid ass thing. First of all, half the picks they show ain't even no baddies.
No, that's facts, but it's gonna be legit baddies in DC.
And it's never. But why do y'all think that like he don't like black women? I don't understand. They always show women
crazy.
who are not black. That shit annoys me.
I mean, apparently he took Ice Spice out on a date. So I think she had black, maybe. I don't know what Ice Spice.
Yeah, she's part black, but I'm just saying, it's like why? What?
They only show white.
Always, shit is annoying.
JP, he's 24 years old. About to be 24 years old.
It was the dumbest joke ever. I'm like, cut that bullshit out. Anyway, she's annoying me.
Oh man, his birthday was 3 days ago.
Anyway, Jordan, we love you here. We wish you the best. Mm-hmm. I hope you drop like 45 on Draymond's head, but you still lose. But you know,
yeah, for real.
Nah, man, I'm gonna be rooting for Jordan. He got a lifelong fan over here, for real.
Facts.
For real, man. I'm gonna miss you. I love you. No more pool parties. I can't tweet about it no more. Yo, man, this shit is sad. It hurts my heart.
We can still tweet about it, but
I know, but it won't be for the Warriors. Shit is whack, yo. We was talking about Jordan a couple of years ago, like this is gonna be like OKC. You know what I'm saying? This is what Dre ruined. This is what he ruined because of his fucking ego. Nah, man.
We knew in 2021 people weren't trying to catch on, but we knew in 2021 where he was going to be. He's turning into that player. There's some growing pains, but ultimately, I think his trajectory is stardom. And he will be worth that contract that he got. A lot of people don't think he is. I think he will show that he is worth that. And
cover the albatross. Oh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. The nerve of the Ringer to put 125 players ahead of him and then make a note of it to make sure it was known at the end.
Funny thing is they put Dylan Brooks at the 125th spot. Like, are we serious? He literally just outplayed Dylan Brooks in the playoffs like less than a calendar year ago.
Just silliness. It was just silliness. Like, there are not 125 players in the NBA better than Jordan Poole.
Thank you.
And like you cannot base that all on his postseason. Like those 125 players that you put all ahead of him did not all have better regular seasons than him. And some of them dudes were not even in the playoffs.
Right. And some of them that were in the playoffs did not have better playoffs than him, and his playoffs was pretty bad. So, yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. We got a draft pick. So let's talk about it.
What's up, Dub Nation? It's your newest Golden State Warrior, Brandin Podziemski. I'm so excited to get back out to the Bay. It's already my home. I can't wait to contribute in any way possible to the organization. I look forward to winning the championship this year, 2024 Golden State Warrior NBA champs. I'm ready. Go Dubs. What's up, Dub Nation? It's your new.
All right.
There it is.
That was Brandin Podziemski. He kind of confident. I think I like him. I don't know nothing about Podziemski, but he talking about us being champions. So I'm with it. I don't know nothing about drafts, guys. Justin, so this is all you. Tell me and everybody listening about Brandin Podziemski and who the Warriors drafted with the 19th pick in this year's draft.
This is all of 30 minutes of draft research right here. So I didn't know about Podziemski before the draft, but from a lot of people that I trust their draft analysis, say he's a decent offensive player. He can shoot. He went to Santa Clara, where Jalen Williams from the Thunder, who was, I want to say he was a finalist in Rookie of the Year. He went there. And once Jalen Williams left, Brandin Podziemski kind of stepped up as that lead guard, and he played pretty well for them. They aren't in the best conference, but he averaged 20 points, almost 10 rebounds, like 9 rebounds, 4 assists, can really shoot the three, had a pretty high usage rate, so he's handling the ball a lot, making a lot of decisions, and he didn't really turn it over a crazy amount. So he just seems like a really solid guard. He's just he's about 6'5", 6'6", looks solid, like 200. He likes
to rebound, unlike Klay Thompson, is what you're telling me.
Right. I mean, from what I've seen, he's a pretty solid team defender. He's not the best on-ball defender. I think he struggles against quickness. So we'll see how his defensive game translates to the NBA, but I think he has an NBA jump shot. Lefty, compact, shot 44% from three his sophomore season. Not a one and done, so you don't got to couple years in. So I'm not too low.
But he's our Christian Brown, is what you're telling me.
Exactly. I think in a few years he'll be all-star.
Few years. I'm talking about for this year. Is he our Christian Brown?
Oh yeah, Christian Brown for sure. High energy. He's gonna be playing.
And he helped this year in this postseason the way Christian Brown did. Can we get a Podziemski game?
Podziemski game. Well, inevitably, Chris Paul is going to be hurt before the playoffs, so we're going to need Podziemski. No, I'm just kidding.
Justin, we've moved on from that conversation. Okay, we're trying to.
But yeah, I think he can add some value if he can handle the ball without turning it over and play decent defense, because they're definitely going to need him to play in the regular season.
But he's going to be behind Moody in the depth chart, right? Unless he somehow outplays him, and I can't see that.
I mean, he's a guard. So Moody, I think, will be more wing-ish. Like Moody, I think, will be behind Klay or Wiggins in the depth chart. GP2 will be behind Klay and Wiggins as well. So I think Podziemski is more so like insurance for when Chris Paul inevitably miss games. Steph inevitably will miss games, not play back-to-backs, that type of thing. So they're going to have to put somebody in, kind of like the Ty Jerome role. And I think they just decided to go with Podziemski instead of Ty Jerome. And I would have went with Ty Jerome, but I'll give the young guy a chance to see, because from what I've heard, he's a solid player. I don't think he's going to be wowing anybody, but he doesn't project as somebody that's going to be terrible. So we'll see.
Well, I look forward to seeing him in Summer League.
Yeah, that's a good place to see what he kind of made of, because he'll be playing against NBA athletes. I'm not sure how many games he played against big teams in college. So it'll be good to see him against like some quick guards, some of the other high draft picks and stuff like that, to see what he did. But I'm pretty sure he worked out for a bunch of teams and played against those guys. And I guess he looked good enough against those guys in workouts that the Warriors felt comfortable taking him at 19.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Warriors, Brandin Podziemski. I hope things work out for you. I hope you are our Christian Brown. Not
We need
Braun.
Moody to be a Christian Brown. We need Moody to be the Christian Brown. I'm tired of watching him.
But this is Christian Brown's first year, isn't it?
It was his first year.
That's what it's. Moody's not. It's not his first year.
I know, but it might
and
well
Christian
be.
Brown had all those years already played in college before he came.
True. I think he might be older than Moody.
I mean, come on. Give it the comparison, Justin.
Well, Christian Brown was 21 this season, and Moody will be 21 coming up this season.
And how old will Podziemski be?
Podziemski might be 21.
Maybe 21.
They don't have his birthday on here. But 2 years in college, he should be like 20, 21 coming into the NBA.
Yeah, it's Podziemski. Moody's going to be great for us regardless, but Moody's Moody. He's already had some good playoff games too. It's not already.
Yeah. I'm looking for a breakout season for Moody, to be honest.
Well, he'll get some playing time this year, so we should see that.
He got a choice.
Okay, so before we wrap and conclude, any surprises from the draft tonight?
Cam Whitmore dropped. He was a projected top 10 pick, dropped to 20. Maybe teams are a little weary of his injury history, but he's going to the Rockets, which is pretty intriguing because they got a lot of athleticism. They got a lot of youth on that team. Mm-hmm. So in a few years, they could be pretty dangerous, but I think they are going to suck for the next 2-3 seasons.
There's no more Jim Harden going there. Sounds like he's going to stay with Philly.
Yeah, I think he's going to stay with Philly. Other than that, nope, everything went pretty much as projected. Scoot went third. Brandon Miller went second. Obviously, Wemby went first. Can't even remember who went fourth, but it's going to be interesting to see what Portland does now that they've made the pick. It's clear that Dame is pretty much saying like me or the pick. So we'll see if Dame stays there. Obviously, we didn't really touch that much on. They're
both annoying as hell, though, because like neither one of them wants to be the bad guy. They don't want to trade Dame. He don't want to ask for a trade, but we all know a trade is what needs to be done. So like, I don't really have nothing from Portland. I don't give a damn about them till they do something. Miami over there holding out like the mistress who's like, like
yeah.
He said he's gonna finally leave her,
like right. Just go to Miami, bro.
Like you're mad annoying. Anyway, so the Wizards were letting everyone hold them except for the Warriors, and they sent Bradley Beal to the Suns for a bag of potato chips. So,
whoa! I think the details came out, and it was decent for them.
What they got?
I think they got 4 pick swaps. They got 4 pick swaps, and I want to say the Suns made it. They might have made a pick today, and they don't have a pick again for like the next decade. Like, it's kind of crazy. So, I want to say they got like 6 or 7 picks in total. A few of them second rounders, and a bunch of them are pick swaps. So, decent. And they turned Chris Paul into Jordan Poole. So they really traded Bradley Beal for Jordan Poole and a bunch of picks. You know what I'm saying?
How do we feel about Brad Beal joining the Suns?
I think it's cool. It's a lot of offense.
Why is nobody moved by this trade?
Because they can't fill out their roster with anything. Their roster is minimums. Aiden is still soft as Charmin. So unless they move him for depth, I'm not moved by them. Book and KD moved me. And maybe even Bill next to those guys. It does kind of
feel like a natural fit to me, though.
You say it does not?
No.
Yeah, I mean, Book is probably their best ball handler when it comes
to is Book going to be the point guard now?
He's going to have to be the point guard, and he's probably like, he might be their best scorer now. Like, KD is still KD, but Book did some ridiculous shit this season. So it's like you're making Book less of a scorer and more of a distributor. to Beal, who's not a better scorer than him. And it's like, is Beal going to play defense now? Is Book and KD going to be able to play defense at a championship level? Because they do not have a defensive anchor. Ayton isn't that. What do you do with the rest of the roster? I don't know. That's why they aren't moving me too much, but they're definitely going to be a tough out. There's just a lot of talent on that team with those three guys. But yeah, not too moved. Wiggins locking up, GP2 locking up, Podziemski locking up.
Podziemski. Okay. Porzingis went to Boston, and Boston gave up Marcus Smart, which that wasn't what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Brogdon going to the Clippers, and I guess they realized Brogdon's injury is a bit much, and so Boston's not going to be able to move off of him, and so instead they traded Marcus Smart away, and yeah, I like Marcus Smart is like Boston Celtics Draymond Green, like he's not as good as Draymond, but I'm just saying he just does things for that team that I don't think someone just can come in and replace and do. He's really important to their team.
Mm-hmm. He's like the midpoint between like Draymond and Dillon Brooks, in my opinion. None of them play the same position, obviously, but it's kind of like, I know what you mean, like they glue guy stuff, the intensity, kind of like the identity of the team, at least defensively, kind of flows through him. So it's going to be weird. And he was there for a long ass time. Like, I think he might have been the longest tenured Celtic on the roster.
He has big plays too. I really don't want him in the same sentence with Dillon Brooks. I'm sorry, but
yeah, I feel you. But that's pretty much going to be his role on the Grizzlies. Just be a better Dillon Brooks.
No, I know, but I didn't even get to look at it. I saw that Tatum left him some heartfelt message on Instagram, but like, I was surprised by that. I know a lot of Celtics fans were sad about it. Porzingis is another one of those, like, if he stays healthy, and I know Warriors fans were fiending for him.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't come to fruition. I don't know. I was never that big on the Porzingis thing, like to come to the war. I mean, I know at this point, whoever you're getting is going to come with stuff, but it's just that, like, I know he played pretty well last year, but it's just with him too. It's always like his health. And I feel like at some point with Porzingis, he just always gets like unhappy on his teams. And then it's just like, I don't know. It just always feels like it's something.
Yeah. I think at this point in his career, maybe he's at that maturity level where he can just really lock in and try to win a championship because he knows these are the last few years of his prime. The injury things is definitely a real concern. He did have his healthiest season last year of his career, other than, I guess, early career, but it's still always a chance because he's so tall. He's kind of thin.
How many did he play last year? Like 60-something, right? Or more than that?
I want to say 65. I did hear, like, I didn't follow the Wizards close enough to pay attention to, like, his play individually, but they did say that he kind of tailed off in production towards the end of the season. I think his legs kind of gave up. But, I mean, he had a pretty good season overall, 23-8. And, yeah, since his second season, this was his healthiest season. He's at his peak. He's at his absolute peak. So I think it was a good swing for the Celtics. Ultimately, I think the Celtics ceiling is directly tied to Tatum and how well he can.
But they still need a point guard.
And my thing is,
I thought they were going to go for Chris Paul. By the way, I like Tyus Jones. Like, I don't know, but I feel like that's a loss for Memphis, Tyus Jones.
Oh, yeah. I think Marcus Smart can do some guard things, but he's not Tyus.
No, and Tyus can shoot decently.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Tyus and Jordan and for the Wizards, to be honest. It's going to be a pretty exciting backcourt.
Yeah, that's nice.
Smacked.
I would have liked us to get Tyus. Like, get us something. I would have rather Tyus, to be honest, as the backup versus Chris Paul. younger, healthier.
Yeah, but we ain't giving Jordan to Memphis. That would have been crazy. I don't know about that.
The Tyus was in Washington.
Yeah, that's true. But
I would have preferred, like, if they were not getting a front court player, to take, like, trade Jordan. Because, I mean, I think Washington's looking to rebuild, right? So they, of course, they probably want to pair Jordan and Tyus together, but, like, get some pieces, Tyus and pieces, or pieces. That's more what I would have liked.
Tyus is one of those dudes. He's a young guy, so I think he's made it clear that he wants to start. I think they reported it with Memphis that the only reason he was being shopped is because he wants to go somewhere and start. So I don't know how well that would have went over. It would have been another situation with a really good guard coming off your bench that wants to start. So I personally don't think he's like an all-star or anything like that. Like, he shouldn't be demanding a starting spot, even though he is very good. But he want what he want.
All right, whatever. We got Chris Paul.
I know.
So, I mean, but I really still think now, I actually think with the addition of Porzingis, it actually even highlights even more that they need a point guard.
Yeah. And I think just in general, the point guard thing, I think they need Tatum to be not necessarily a point guard, but just be a guy that you can rely upon late in games against the best defenses in the NBA to generate high quality offense. Like, not dribble, hezzy step back mid range, not drive into traffic and just hope I get a foul call, not pass the ball over to Jaylen Brown so he can get his dribble picked. It needs to be, I'm getting to my spot and you have to send somebody else over to help, or I'm going to score and it's going to be an easy bucket every time. If he can get to that level, then I think he elevates himself into that top 5-ish caliber player realm. And then it legitimately opens up a championship window for them, because we saw this past season and the season before that, they didn't have that. And it's probably the reason why they lost both times. Right? So.
Okay. So Beal to the Suns, Porzingis to Boston, Marcus Smart to Memphis. All of these are surprising trades. I don't think any of these, the Beal one, not so surprising, because we started to hear, Beal to the Heat or Beal to the Suns. So I think that's the least surprising. But it was some of the things that came after with the Wizards and the Boston Marcus Smart, because it seemed like, okay, now it's dead. And like Warriors fans start to get hope for KP again. And all of a sudden, it's like Marcus Smart is being traded to the.
Yeah, that was kind of.
I was like, what? And apparently, he was really shocked. So.
Had to be. I want to look at Memphis's roster, but
I don't know.
So, y'all gone for the first 25 games, so no Dylan Brooks is back. It's going to be kind of a complete revamp almost. Yeah. I want to say Brandon Clark is probably going to be out for that whole season next season. Torn Achilles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, because he was a big piece. I was gonna say, I mean, they do know how to play without Ja, but like they had Tyus, and I don't feel like Smart really completely replicates what Tyus can do. And then you're also missing Clark. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Very interesting.
So we got some mailbag questions. A lot of them don't make sense now since the trade, but there was one. I don't think we really need to go through that many of them, because they don't, y'all. So we'll put out another request for a mailbag now that this trade has happened. But hopefully some of the questions you may have, we address. I would have to be my guess. And who else? Normally it's like, who else is the Warriors going to go after? What do you think of the trade? We kind of talked about all that. But there's one question about what needs to be done to put us on the level with the Nuggets. Is that it? Can you repeat? Can you say that question? I'm saying repeat it, but you said it to me off
Yeah.
but we're on.
So the question was, what does every West playoff team need to be in? Oh, what do they need to be in the same tier as the Nuggets? We're obviously just only going to focus on the Warriors.
Yeah, because I don't care about the other teams.
Right. And we are pretty much in alignment thinking like they aren't that far off from the Nuggets. Like,
Okay, I don't
if
even
at
think
all.
the Nuggets are better than us. Like, I really don't. They just
That's
won.
fair.
We didn't play the Nuggets, y'all. But for
Right.
some reason, there's this idea that if we would have, like,
We would have got curb stomped.
I don't know what y'all were
Wow.
watching. I don't know what y'all were watching to think that, but that wasn't happening. What's happening?
I've been pretty vocal about it. I don't think the Nuggets played any team in the playoffs that would have presented the specific matchup issues that are the Nuggets' weaknesses. They didn't see a single team that exploits their weaknesses, is what I'm trying to say. They did play the teams that were in front of them, and ultimately, those teams were quote unquote the best teams available because they progressed in each round and they played the team that met them in those rounds. So we can't say that they didn't play anybody that was good. They played the best competition that was there, but they did not play.
And I'm not even trying to take that away from them. Like they won, they got it, they're the champs.
Right.
My thing is, people are acting like the Warriors lost because Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole shot some abysmal fucking numbers. And that wasn't because the Lakers were just taking shit away from them.
Right.
Or the Kings. Like, if they just would have shot their regular season shit, like not even exactly, but like just a slight fraction higher. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of those outcomes are different. And in the Kings series, just like in this year, they should have won game 1 versus the Lakers. They should have won game 4. Like they were in these games. That's what people like. That Lakers series wasn't close.
Thank you.
What you mean it wasn't close?
Thank you.
It was a 6-game series. There were 2 blowouts each. So the Warriors blew the Lakers out twice. The Lakers blew the Warriors out twice. And then there were 2 close games. And the Lakers just happened to get both of those 2 close games. Total points, like this was a very close series, right? And that was with Klay Thompson. Oh, also, and Andrew Wiggins, like getting his rib. Bro, like, guys, this was not like the Warriors just outplaying. Like, yeah, I mean, yes, the Lakers outplayed them, but it wasn't like some of that was just them not showing up.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes the ball just doesn't roll into your side of the court. Right?
And Steph didn't shoot that great either, by the way.
Steph didn't shoot his normal, or just he didn't shoot his best. I think he still shot pretty good. He didn't shoot his best. Dante was pretty bad on both ends. Jordan was pretty bad on both ends. Klay was pretty bad on both ends. Looney was sick. Gary Payton was sick. Andrew Wiggins broke his ribs before the last game.
Right. Like
Lonnie Walker had the quarter of his life. All these things, you know what I mean? Like,
so yes, maybe the Warriors may have lost to Denver, but it's not because Denver is some like supremely more talented team than them. It's just like the Warriors, they ran out.
It wasn't their year.
Right? And like that's what I'm saying. So this is not a we're not on Denver's level shit. Like, I mean, The Ringer did just come out with their rankings that we do not agree with having 125 players higher than Jordan Poole. They did have Stephen Curry second to Jokic. And like I said, I'm not going to like complain if people have Jokic as the best player, but they have Stephen Curry second to him, meaning both teams have one of those guys. Okay, we got people. So both teams have one of those guys. And then it's just a matter of like, who do you think has the better supporting cast? Right? And like, don't tell me you're looking at Denver's supporting cast and saying it's drastically better than the Warriors supporting cast. It's crazy.
Thank you. I mean, my personal opinion,
it's just ludicrous.
In my opinion, Klay's better than MPJ. Wiggins is better than Aaron Gordon. Jamal Murray would be easily the third best player in the series, I think. But
they don't have a defensive player as good as Draymond.
They don't. They don't. And then outside of that, especially with the loss of Bruce Brown, I mean, I guess KCP and Looney are about the same level. Worst starter on a championship team. That's both their level, KCP and Looney, right? And then you got now Chris Paul now, GP2. They have other impactful players on their roster that I don't think Denver will be able to go to next season. We'll see what their young guys look like, but with the loss of Bruce Brown, puts a ton of pressure on Christian Brown and other guys to step up. I just don't think there's a crazy talent advantage on Denver. They are the younger team. They are smack dab in their prime, but that don't mean that the Warriors are at a talent disadvantage to them. And
it's also their first year making a deep postseason run.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to go back and do it a second year.
Right.
And you saw what happened to the Warriors their second year when they went back and did it.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, it caught up to them. I don't believe in the whole chasing 73 caught up to them. I just think another deep postseason run back to back. Injuries happen, attrition, whatever. But the point is that those extra games that you're playing deep into the postseason, they start to catch up to you.
Yep.
And we still have to come back and see if playoff riser Jamal is going to be that Jamal during the regular season. The Nuggets only won 53 games last year, guys. They only won 53 games.
Yeah. Is he going to be that in the regular season? And is he going to be that in the playoffs again? Who knows? I mean, did they play anybody that can really check Jamal? Any teams that had players that can check Jamal? I don't think they did. I'm just keeping it real. Jaden McDaniels, pretty good perimeter defender on the Timberwolves. Unavailable in the first round. Did the Suns have anybody that can check Jamal? Looks like they got a bunch of small guards. Landry Shamet, Campaign, Chris Paul. Can't check 6'4" Jamal Murray.
Warriors put on Jamal.
Andrew Wiggins. Pretty good. Pretty good guy. I mean, for portions, at least, of the finals, Jimmy Butler was on Jamal Murray, and it bothered him.
Yeah, it did.
Bam would switch on to Jamal Murray, and it bothered him.
He did turn into much more of a playmaker, though, than I'm used to seeing him do.
He did. And that's where the Miami's lack of size outside of those two players really came into play and hurt them, because it's Gabe Vincent rotating over to Aaron Gordon and getting put in the basket. It's Caleb Martin, Max Strus. These guys are too small. Hopefully the Warriors add more size. And it's guys like Looney, Clay, 6'7", GP2, who plays above his size, just more functional size. So I really don't think Denver was really challenged in a way that they potentially could be next season. And we will see. But like you said, there's no talent advantage with Denver and Golden State. I think they're at worst about even talent-wise, and it just becomes a matter of attrition, matchups, a little bit of luck in either direction. It always takes a little bit of luck. And
trust me, defending the Warriors and Stephen Curry is harder than any team they've had to defend in the entire postseason.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm just like, I'm tired. Like, woo! Shout out to Denver. Go Denver. But I'm tired of all this. Like, what do we got to do to get on Denver's? Like, excuse you? Like, I'm sorry. Nah, we're not doing all that.
The Lakers shit is what kills me too. It's actual Warriors fans that are coming on Twitter and stuff and saying the Lakers just killed them. And it's like, did y'all watch the same series? Literally, we watched Jordan miss the game-tying shot in game one while they were amidst a 14-0 run. Could have got that game. And then we watched Lonnie Walker turn into Kobe Bryant for 5 minutes in the fourth quarter of game 4. Steph still had a chance to win the game with 2 shots on AD. They just didn't go in.
I'm not even interested in no conversations about the Lakers.
It just doesn't seem like they're just that much better than the Warriors to me. So
whatever. Now they got to come back and play again and get through a whole season.
Mm-hmm.
AD healthy, LeBron healthy. Please, I ain't paying attention to the Lakers.
Right. So
We'll see what they do. I still don't think they bat it like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be a good team. I just don't think they're better than the Warriors, and I hope the Warriors see them again in the playoffs so they can right that wrong.
All right, listen, y'all. I really am under the weather, so I need to go attend to myself. I had my tea. I drunk. I was drinking plenty of fluids. I'm home visiting my family. And, you know, my mother is Jamaican, so she mixed me up all kind of concoctions. She has me taking
Oh my gosh.
honey and lime and lemon and eucalyptus and all of them something there. So, you know, so I've been taking all kind of shit, but I am honestly so exhausted. Like, you know, when you're sick and you work through being sick, like my body just feels like it's about to crash. So that's it. I'm stuffy. Forgive me if I sounded nasally and crazy, but y'all said we had to react to Chris Paul. So I hopped on because I was not supposed to be here. Justin, tell them I really was not supposed to be here.
You weren't. It was about to be a solo.
I had no intentions of talking to y'all for 2 weeks. So the Warriors, stop playing. I'm on vacation. Don't do no more shit till I'm back. Okay. Anyways, y'all, thank you for tuning in with us. We appreciate y'all as always. We definitely gonna be staying up to date on this postseason. Even if I'm not here, Justin got you covered. Anything else happens, you know, we will be on it. But yeah, just Chris Paul, man. Chris Paul is going to be a warrior. Good God. Anyways, y'all, make sure you are downloading, subscribing, sharing, telling a friend, following us on Twitter and Instagram at Golden Spaces Pod. Leave a review, a positive review. Give us 5 stars, only 5 stars. And we appreciate you, appreciate the support. We will be back again at some point next week. But until then, take care and get ready for the Chris Paul era.
I did Chris Paul.